The conversation was more the masculine conversation that you need to be a provider, you need to have a job, you need to do that.
There was a time in class where there was a lady. I have so many high school stories. What's your understanding on GBV?
So there's no amount of money that can give a child a freedom, the safeness that that young boy felt.
I must tell a girl, go, let's go fetch a jersey. Now when I got to the university, I came back as somebody different.
Oh, you know that line as well. Let's go get the jersey.
I know it.
Man said, our daughter's got the period, she's bleeding. Go buy.
You probably wanted to go to the doctor.
I wanted to flee.
Start those conversations even before, a child begins their periods, so that they prepare themselves very well.
My daughter, she's 32. Also, my happiness now is defined with being content.
Is she married or?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but be careful.
What the hell? What time is it?
Oh my gosh. Show me. They finally here.
Welcome to another special episode of Finally GQ podcast. And today I'm actually joined by Dr. Bruce Demons and Carl Lishilo. Gentlemen, would you mind introducing yourself? What do you do? Where are you from?
Good afternoon, MJ.
Yes, sir. It's actually MG.
What's the difference between a G and a J? You help me clarify that for me as well. So,
Okay.
I am a father, a son,
Alrighty.
a brother, a cousin, a dog owner, pond owner,
that Carl.
and then I work at Nelson Mandela University.
Oh, nice. What do you do there?
I'm the director in the engagement office, and our job is to really help the university with others in the university truly understand how the university can be of greater service to society. So we're thinking carefully under this Vice Chancellor, what does it mean to be a university in service of society?
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Carl Lishilo. Said it right, ne? Lishilo.
Yes,
Righty.
that's correct. Like you mentioned, I'm Carl, surname Lishilo. I'm from Limpopo.
Oh.
And I'm based here in PE. I am doing my advanced diploma in management practice.
Oh, interesting.
And I am also with Dr. Bruce Demons in the engagement office.
Okay.
So he's my boss. By the way.
Do you have a dog as well? Or?
Yes, I also have a dog.
Oh, okay.
Not sure about a wife and 3 children.
Yeah.
I don't have children. I'm not a dad.
Okay.
So what I do at the engagement office is I coordinate student engagements.
Okay.
Right? Which basically speaks to student success, converging students, because nowadays students live in silos. There isn't support for one another. So it's just basically exploring creative ways in which we can get students speaking, we can get students being active once again, and not just be active as keyboard warriors.
Okay. Do you guys know of Thetha Ndoda?
Well,
okay.
Well, Thetha Ndoda is a program.
Okay.
Which, of course, it's not only about. When I translate it, it simply means speak man.
Oh yeah.
Right. Where it speaks to people who identify as men. Not only limited to that. To start having conversations, uncomfortable conversations around societal things which are happening, looking at the fact that there are a lot of things which we think are normal, but they're actually not normal, which we've normalized throughout the times, and there are conversations which we still do not speak about, right? And it means that we then have a longer time to actually debunk certain myths, debunk certain things which we thought are normal, actually.
I see.
So it speaks to that, not only trying to to define masculinity and whatnot. But when we talk about the aspect of a man speaking, it's not subjected to a gender, men as a gender,
Okay.
right? But it speaks to now starting to talk about, once you investigate a problem, you talk about a problem, you've actually solved half of it, right? So it's basically around that in essence.
So is it a program that you want to start now, or is it something that has been ongoing?
Well, the program, it's something which we are looking into now, phasing into the university space, particularly within the student populace and with staff members too. But it was actually launched last year with our project manager or coordinator rather in the HOC space, the Hubs of Convergence. Yeah.
Okay. So, when you guys were talking about HOC, I'm thinking of House of Coffees because
House of Champions.
there's a company, I think it's Cyro. They have this brand. It's called House of Coffee. So thanks for clarifying. That. So, Thetha Ndoda, what conversations, what topics do you really think are there for men to talk about? You can just name one.
No, I think
Then you feel sorry.
There's so many topics that men need to feel comfortable to talk about, and I speak then as a father. That's why I gave you my mouth here.
Yeah.
When my daughter first had a first period, my eldest daughter, I will never forget. I was laying on a bed in our home, and her mother screamed.
Oh my word.
And I thought someone died here. And then the mother said, "Our daughter's got a period, she's bleeding. Go buy."
You probably wanted to go to the doctor.
I wanted to flee. But then she sent me to Clicks to go buy pads. And I thought, no, I can't go buy pads. What will people think me walking down the aisle? So that the myth that the male cannot take care of menstrual health of his daughter because of an historical cultural framing around menstrual health, for example. So that was my own learn. So there's a lot I think that we need to, but key is that we also need to create safe spaces for men to do this. Because I think there's so much pressure because of what my generation has done and before generation, especially as it relates to women in the main and women on general thematics. And I think, but now with this generation, I think we have an ideal opportunity to visit some of those. I wouldn't say myths. Myths is something so in the air, like one of these movies. I think of it as men doing the best with the knowledge they have at the time. So my dad at his time had knowledge about sexuality and about men as it relates to gender relationships.
Was there ever a conversation between you and your dad?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The conversation was more the masculine conversation that you need to be a provider, you need to have a job, you need to do this. But I recognized that he was having that conversation in love.
I see.
Because the context at the time was not the same.
And finances, I know it's also part of what men don't talk about actually. And with your experience, what is it that you can say to young men as well?
There's so much pressure on young men. You brought the historical baggage of the provider and then the present baggage of trying to establish yourself. And I think sometimes there is a disconnect in that as well. So my advice to young men is really to be very self-reflexive to where you are now. I had an opportunity with your son running around here. And so there's no amount of money that can give a child of freedom, the safeness that young boy felt. So I commend you for creating this environment. You might not be well.
I hope he's going to see you one day and say,
absolutely. He won't see it now because remember he's navigating the knowledge he's had now. But so other people's experiences will come into your space. And so men should not be afraid to be, because there's a stigma about young black men and their children. I walk into a space I've never seen the child so comfortable and so free with his father, with people that walk into space. So we have your work that you're doing should help to debunk our experiences. So my daughter, she's 32. Also, my happiness now is defined with being content.
Is she married or?
Yeah, I'm not sure what. Be careful what they say because I'm sure she'll watch this. So no comment on that. But because I'm also telling them, and now that I got hindsight,
Okay.
I'm 58 this year, these young people,
Wow.
you hear this brilliant.
You look 40 something.
But you listen
Early
to
40s.
Yeah, thanks. Please tell my wife that.
Yeah.
But like Carl and them are so brilliant in the thinking and the analysis, and it's such a privilege that they keep me in my brain young, thinking, and the push and the critical. And so I said, if I can tell my daughter something now, if she could learn it now and not wait till she's 40 or 50, just be the best version, be critical, and then the other things will be added unto you. But now I think we're chasing the things and we're not allowing moment like sitting on a Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock, doing podcasts as you guys are doing. So that's fantastic to see that in spaces. Students that have used this in their learning to bring about a campaign, not just a conventional go do a assignment on Spotty and I can take photos. You're really bringing it. So as a 58-year-old, it's great that youngsters are thinking this way, which we never did. And I think our responsibility is to really understand how do we support it, how do we drive it. Your success should be our success.
And Carl, in terms of male students, how can they get hold of you? How can they join this program? And also, please advise them on, it's also a safe space. They mustn't think that that they're exposing themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, to start with, our offices, we are based in Bird Street campus.
Okay.
And we're also based at North campus. And we also do have a website, which I think we are very open in terms of communication, because we have contact details of certain people. For example, under our website, even the director is there. If you want to speak to him, you can go speak to him. You can just send an email or shout out. But mostly within the student populace, you'd usually see some of our events being advertised on Memo and all that.
Okay.
And then you're more than welcome to come join. And I mean, with male people, there are a lot of things which students do not know of. Or there's still a lot of things which they do not talk about. Reason being that wherever they come from, you find that you don't even talk about sex. You don't even talk about how to approach a girl, but you only know the story of Brass Thief. Brass Thief, you live with Brass Thief Ekasi. He's used to telling you guys all these nice stories, saying that if you want to get a girl, you must just say, hey, let's go fetch a cheese. And that thing, it's very wrong and problematic. It's wrong and problematic. So you carry that kind of knowledge, innocently so, because that is the kind of knowledge you only know of. And then you bring it into the university space, and then all those other ill doings are continuing. So the status quo keeps being reproduced, sexual assault, GBV, all these things. Some people do not even know about them. So I think this presents us with a new kind of thinking.
What's your understanding on GBV?
GBV. I think it is such a complex matter that's impacting so many people in multiple ways as well. Because I personally appreciate the framing of gender-based violence because it's violence against a gender. And so our role and our understanding and why programs like Thetha Ndoda is so important, ours is mainly an advocacy, critical conversation type of space in the engagement office. We have the transformation office, for example, where you have qualified and trained people that actually support people that have been victims of gender-based, both male and female. And they also run a masculinity program. So we're trying to see how do we complement this work. So ours is not we are not the psychologists or the social worker, but we want to say, but we can talk about it. It's happening in our spaces, it's happening in our homes, it's happening on our hostels. How do we create these safe spaces where people feel they can raise their voice? if I was a perpetrator and I've developed a new consciousness because of a podcast, how do I find a way for redemption without condemnation? You see, I was a young man. I was thinking as I coming here about the topic, and and the thoughts about women when I was girl's age has never been really about, it was objectifying the gender.
True.
Now that I'm older and a father of 2 girls, I'm thinking on in a defense as well, while still allowing them the right of passage to have that experience. So I think gender-based violence, if in South Africa where I live and I'm a citizen, is complex. It's historical. Because you see, most of our people that were oppressed under apartheid are still oppressed today.
I once got hit by a lady. This was in high school. And I also had to hit back. But I went in hard, which then I was like, what am I doing? And this was my first time. But what I liked from that situation is they called the cops on me. And for me, like, I was so scared that I don't even want to do that again. But like, if you fight me, I step back.
But that's horrific to have called the cops on you. That's absolutely. But
remember,
that's only giving us part of the story. Anyway, it might have been something worse added there.
Let me give you the context. Why they even called the cops? It was just me and her there. So what did happen is, like, I didn't want to let go of her her hand, and she was like, leave me alone. Then the punches went in there, then I had to fight back. But
so why were you holding her hand? Just reflect on
it. I was saying, come baby, come, why are you leaving? This is in the street. I'm still young. So it happened, but I didn't even expect for that to happen. I didn't even plan for that to happen. But the fact that it happened, which I wish it never happened, for me, it was a life lesson.
Absolutely.
That, because she hit me, I wasn't bruised and anything.
Absolutely.
But for her, she was like bruised because she's a lady, she's gentle and all that. And obviously, I was underage. I was like 16, 17. So it was that thing where police officers, they talk to you, they educate you about these things. That you'll end up in jail. You won't be seen the same as, like, the community won't see you as, that people, the person that they look up to.
Absolutely.
So it's
so you walked away with a lesson. I was the principal of a school for 15 years before I came to the university.
All right.
Okay, in a high gang area where what young people learned in the community they did not know about. They never knew pulling a girl because they see it happen every weekend without consequences where they live.
So now
you have one institution called school, and now you call the police on it. Now imagine the dissonance that happens within that young person. Because I saw my father do it every night. I saw, but when we had children sitting, and they have now learning the lessons not from authority but from learning that's not right. But then we have to think carefully, and that's why I think programs like Thetha Ndoda is so important, is that it's not only then the young children, it's when Carl goes home to his community and asks, how does he have the conversation with his father that might have strong cultural beliefs. So I think education settings must be careful in how they navigate the responses.
And that's the thing, because we're talking about it now, GBV, you go online, hashtag GBVs, you watch TV, they're talking about it. There's probably maybe songs as well to say stop women abuse and all that. But how do we stop it? What do we do? There's probably an uncle that doesn't even have a cell phone, that doesn't, but we see him. Like, we see him abusing the partner or the kids. What do we then say? Because I feel like we don't come out and speak to the perpetrators to say, hey, this is wrong. Because who are you as MG to tell your uncle or your neighbor, the guy that you have seen growing up, looking up to? How do you tell them that that's wrong?
Well, the first part of your question, you see, it goes back to the kind of knowledge you're coming with, right? For example, you holding a girl like that, baby Kamiwara, you saw it as a normal thing because you've seen it from someone.
Correct.
And you thought that is the correct way of doing things. right? So when you come into a university space, where usually universities is where students typically we are passive recipients of knowledge. You just receive your knowledge, cram it, go write your tests. After 2 hours, you forgot what we were talking about.
Okay.
But then now, it then speaks to real life issues in which happen each and every day. I don't think you need to memorize GBV or what GBV looks like in South Africa today, right? So now it presents it's a chance rather to learn, unlearn, and relearn something new
and teach as well.
And it's one of those uncomfortable things to speak about even today. But if you are a student, and you are actively involved, you attend certain programs, and then you have an idea of what GBV is or what sexual assault could be, you then are able to go home during your recess in June or December. When your brother is saying something, you have the consciousness already to then say, do you know that what you are doing is actually abusive? What you're doing is actually wrong. So it starts with those small things, because to then say that we're going to educate everyone now, it's going to be impossible, right? So it starts with those small aspects of now, because I knew that Brad Steve said I must tell a girl, let's go fetch a jersey. Now when I got to the university, I came back as somebody different.
You know that line as well. Let's go get the jersey.
I know it's different. I think that's the famous line in the book.
Yeah, we got it from our uncles as well.
So now it presents a new kind of thinking, because those are the things that happen each and every day. If you're studying economics, there's something else outside of economics.
Yeah, true.
You leave economics in your classroom. When you go to your res, different kind of things. No one is even talking about economics. But there's GBV, there's student hunger, there's pure poverty. There's just quite a lot. So even that education outside of the formal curriculum is really important, which I think the work is trying to speak to.
And what excites is, for example, the students that are assisting us with this, honors students that are in PR and marketing and thinking about this. So that just shows that they're not losing the knowledge of the discipline, but they're actually enhancing it with societal matters. And this is what we're trying to do, the Vice Chancellor's vision around the hubs of convergence and how the actual curriculum can intersect with societal issues. You know, when people are starting to earn a degree to go earn a salary. So they learn the principles of theory related to the discipline. But we say that is not a good theory if it cannot be applied across your discipline. So now, from marketing come these colleagues and have a view and angle that is totally different. We think that's innovative. We think that should be regarded as something you're thinking about, and we're doing this together. And so that's exciting. And just coming back to the point of, I think part of how we respond to it is by empowering people with knowledge.
Very important.
Empowering, and I feel uncomfortable with this word perpetrator and victim, because it's almost sense of defenselessness. Like, how do we make sure, because I'm looking at my girl children, so I'm thinking of this constantly as well. What do I have to do? What is my toolbox as a father to make my girl child strong? Okay? What is the toolbox of myself as a male that is still, who sees himself as liberal in his thinking, but also has those tendencies, when you recognize and say, hey, you raise your voice, hey, just the tone is heavier because of my, but does that make me a violent person? You see, how do I figure that out in a way that I don't feel that I'm also then being ostracized, because then good men go silent and they don't want to Thetha.
True.
You see, so how do we make sure that the spaces, tough spaces, violence against any person can never be condoned. But when it comes against someone that's weaker than yourself, you see, it's problematic.
And sometimes, like a few weeks ago, there was this topic trending online. I'm not sure if you've seen it, the McG and...
Why don't you point to me? You point to the young person when it comes to trending, as if I can't see trending things.
Do you know McG? Do you know McG?
I know McG. I love those podcasts. I must be honest, I never saw any trending.
So there was this topic about GBV. but it was called online GBV, cyber GBV, and all that. So So my question, and I was actually wrong because I tried defending MacGyver because I didn't have all the information that I had until someone corrected me on the comments. It says even what you're saying, it's wrong because the person who did that wasn't the person you're talking about, it's someone else. And I wanted to justify it, but I was like, okay, before I text let me go do my research. You know what I'm saying? And only to find out that no, I was actually wrong. No, and I actually saw because everyone was defending the women. All men, all what he said. He said about things. I'm not sure, but let me not talk about it. Yeah, go look up on the internet.
Definitely.
Yeah. So it was more of now as well. I was coming to the party to say no. Actually, this person was wrong.
Yeah,
he was wrong.
But you see what I enjoy. You were asking the question, what do we do? You gave the solution. It's about raising critical consciousness. And then how do we allow men to know to be self-reflexive? That's the best form of education. When you can say, actually, with the information that I have, and you did something that I struggled to do, you paused. You said, let me go check. That's a pause.
Yeah.
You see, males are regarded as stereotypical warriors.
Yeah, true.
No, I must respond because how they questioning me.
And that was me.
Yeah.
And I got
That's
to
still me, bruh. That's still me.
and I got to reflect. And say, wow,
Brilliant.
this is I had to put myself on that lady's shoe, how she's feeling at that time, and how people see her. And for me, it's something that I don't even want to talk about. But like you said, these are the things that you know what I'm saying. But anyway, we're gonna take a short break, and when we come back, we're gonna have 2 more guests. I'm not sure. Are you gonna stay for the podcast, the second segment?
In the course of the podcast, we can sit and if you want us, or we can go. You decide.
Yeah, because now the thing is, now we're gonna be talking about ending period poverty.
Okay.
The last time I said ending period pains, and
now you reflect, but now we know you reflect.
Yeah,
so
they just said EPP. I'm like, that's period pains. But yeah, we're gonna have a lady joining us. All right, we are back from a short break, and we are joined by a lady. Ma'am, can you kindly introduce yourself? I don't want to get your name wrong.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Asanda Boy. I work as a residence manager at the Nelson Mandela University.
Okay. And yes, you all know Carl, right? So the reason why we hijacked the lady here is we're going to be talking about EPP, which means ending period poverty.
Yes.
So you as a guy or as a male, what's your understanding of period poverty?
Well, my understanding is that with period poverty, it's basically about a systematic deprivation of access to menstrual health products, access to education, and generally access to the awareness of periods. So that is just my general understanding of period poverty. Because when we talk about poverty, of course, poverty, it can be a little bit of a harsh word.
Yeah.
But by virtue of you not having access to those things, those 3 things I mentioned, then you're already on the back foot. You are disadvantaged, and that is why we would, in this regard, for a lack of better term, classify it as another form of poverty. Because of course it's also dehumanizing for people who menstruate. That is why we would then say that it's a little bit harsh, and it's also another form of poverty, like I mentioned.
So you said your name is
Asanda.
Asanda. I almost said Amanda. So growing up, were you taught about menstruations?
Wow, that's a really good question because I was actually thinking about that while Carl was speaking, that in our black families, you know, topics like that were somehow a taboo of some sort. And as a young lady growing up, you would also be scared when you start your periods to go to your parents to say, I've started my periods. It almost seemed like you've done something wrong. You know, you've been with a boy or something like that. So it was very, very difficult. You know, I cried, I remember, as well, my first period and I delayed it a bit to go to my mother to tell her that, you know, I have started with the period. So I think with our older generation or our parents as well, they need to pay attention to some of those things, because I know it still happens, even though not as much as it used to.
Is it a parent's role, or like the community, maybe your aunties, your dad?
Yeah,
everyone?
I'd really say it is. Maybe start those conversations even before, you know, a child begins their, you know, their periods, so that they prepare themselves very well.
Because also for me, when I look at it, I start trying to challenge myself as to, you know, we're talking about lack of understanding or not being taught. As fathers or as uncles as well, I feel like most of them were not taught how to engage these topics as well, and it becomes difficult now in this day and age for men to talk about it with their daughters or anyone in their family that's female.
Yeah.
So where do we start? How do we bridge this gap?
You see, well, in one of the programs, which is called Ending Period Poverty Program, which is initially housed under the Hubs of Convergence in the Engagement Office, and then since we are part of co-leading the Student Hubs of Convergence this time around, we have a program, the same program basically, but focusing on students. Is that there are certain things which you can see that it's not normal, although there are normal things, but it's not normal to students. Like a typical example when we talk about menstruation is that blood, of course, comes out through the vagina. But when you mention it in isiXhosa, you say a vagina in isiXhosa or in Setswana or Kenyana, everybody laughs. Everybody's like,
I just said,
Exactly my point. Because those are the myths of normal, which we have actually been victims of for the longest time. That these things, your own language to start with is not normal. Your own words are not normal. And where do we start? We start with having these uncomfortable conversations in black households, typically from my family. I'm gonna make an example with that. We never speak about sex. We never speak about menstruation. Even if a sex scene comes on TV, hey, you must look very far. You must, in fact, cover yourself with your t-shirt. But then now, when you get outside of the comfort of your home, you then get in contact with somebody who menstruates. You then get into contact with sex, and then for the very first time, you do not know how it is. If I'm from a background where we never spoke about these things, or the only thing you've ever heard about menstruation is that whenever a woman is on that time of the month, she's dirty. Don't even speak to her. Don't do that. So
they're moody.
Yeah,
we'll come to
those kind of things. So they go forwards, that they're even dirty, for lack of a better word. So imagine if you come to a different space, you're obviously going to view even your friend as dirty, and your friend won't be able to speak to you about it, right? So it's one of those things which it only requires the start of a conversation, uncomfortable as it may be, and then leave it like that.
Those conversations, should they start in a classroom, home? Where? Because I feel like high school, we were never told about such things. They probably had ladies on their side to say, us as boys, we were never told about these things. And I remember there was a time in class where there was a lady. I have so many high school stories. I remember.
Hey.
So there was a time oh no, this time I wasn't pulling anyone's hand. But this lady was just sitting in a chair.
Yeah.
And some ladies knew what was going on. We didn't know. And it was one of the loudest girls in class. And to see her not wanting to move in the chair, we didn't understand. And we like some guys would come push, hey, come, let's go, whatever. Until we were told, no, she's bleeding. And we started laughing.
Exactly.
We started laughing at her and started crying. And that's why I'm saying we were never taught. I didn't even know about menstruation even that time.
Yes.
Not even from my aunties, all we saw the adverts, the ultra adverts. They used to be
That's the only
adverts.
thing.
I don't know. I don't remember if they're still there.
They are.
They are.
Yeah.
You'll see that blue liquid, but we didn't know what. But anyway, so.
No, I think they should start at that level because somehow it does affect men as well, or young boys in high school. They should be educated on how to react, also not to make the ladies feel ashamed of themselves, because I don't have the exact stats, but a lot of girls miss school during their period, and it shouldn't be the case because they miss out on a lot of schoolwork. So it will definitely help if both parties would be educated at that level.
And I also feel like that a lot of ladies are being taught the education is there, and the only one that I'm stressing it's men, because you'll find boys starting to have sex now. And there's a lady telling them, hey, I'm on my menstruation. Some guys who don't want to understand, and they just want to probably sleep with this girl, and they end up doing wild, You
see, well, with your other example you gave of the classroom example, you see, when we try and analyze that situation, you would then see that at the end of it, that particular girl was deprived of freedom, happiness, and learning on that particular day, right? Meaning that presents itself as poverty because she was laughed at. People were pushing her around. She cried. For that particular day, she felt dehumanized, right? So think about it. Do you think that next time she would still be able to tell someone that I'm on my period? She's not. She wouldn't even tell her best friend at that particular time because of that experience she felt.
She would probably hate herself.
No, definitely. She could even, the worst could happen if we could to think about it. But imagine if at least two or one person had at least an idea of what is happening and just simply said to her that, oh no, you're going to be okay. Here's a jersey wrap around your waist so that no one can see and what. Or here's a pair of trousers or something, then she would have been at a better place that time, right? She wouldn't even have cried.
Correct.
So people would deal with these things, with these kinds of traumas, because that is a trauma,
true.
right? So even next time, that trauma is still going to be there, that, now I'm older, I have a boyfriend. When I had my period, when I was 11 years, this happened to me. So I might not even want to tell my boyfriend that I'm on my period. So it's particularly at that level that with this kind of education, it involves everyone. But also in our households, we need to really have them. But the good part about it is that if you are now in a university space and you've heard conversations like this, or maybe you were looking at this, you were watching this podcast someday, you stand a good chance of, for lack of better word, at being a better parent, because you would know that your male child, I'll tell him, when someone is like this, the periods are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When someone's like this, it's okay. Help them by doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you've helped your child and another child to be in a better place,
and it becomes a norm going forward.
So he might even tell his friends about it. So you did not only teach your child, you also taught other people.
Do you think pets should be part of the supplies in high schools and or universities as well?
Yeah, but there's always not enough. That's the challenge we're facing currently. A lot of organizations try to collect these, to assist. But
So it's happening.
It's happening. It's
Oh,
happening.
nice.
The challenge is that there's always not enough.
Okay.
Because I mean, we every month, that the periods are coming.
Yeah, it's like condoms. We see condoms everywhere.
Yeah.
At your clinic, at school, at work, we just pass them there.
Yeah.
Maybe we should look at the budget and say more pads and less condoms.
And
I know. Before you come in,
Yeah.
Kyle, I know some of the ideas that we, thought about when we were having these engagements at our residence level. Would even hope to have the vending machines where you just punch and then a pad
nice.
comes,
Yeah.
a pack of pad. But it's the supply, like I'm saying. And we really want to educate young women to say they must never have to be made to use their cloths or other thing, or socks. I know some others would even use socks to try and prevent the blood from flowing out. So we don't want to subject them to that. So we're trying as much as we can to have a good supply of this. I know also there's a foundation, the Mina Foundation, where they've designed now these menstrual cups that you can use for a period of about 5 years.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Yeah, it's a reusable, and they are actually educating our young women and students about that as an alternative to the pad.
Like I mentioned earlier, that with the End Period Poverty Program housed in the engagement office, is that we of course have a partnership with the Mina Foundation.
Okay.
Where they,
Shout out.
They shout out to Mina Foundation, and where they have the Mina cups.
Yeah.
These cups are used are from a very sustainable material called silicone,
Okay.
which you can use the cup for up to 5 years.
So you can wash it then.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So what you do with the cup is that once you can actually put it in for 12 hours actually, but this also depends on how your flow is.
Oh, okay.
Once you feel like maybe it's full, then you take it out, spill the blood, rinse it, and of course there's always education that has to come with the cup and training.
Oh, yeah,
because
true.
one would want to clean it with maybe jig, bleach, and
Oh,
whatnot.
yeah.
So imagine that kind of substance getting into contact with your
I see.
vagina, then it would be problematic.
I see.
So I think with the Mina Cup and the Mina Foundation plays a very critical role in actually ending this period poverty within our campuses and externally, because we do not only look at students when it comes to that program, because there are also people within our own society and surrounding which are in need of it. Because I also have an approach to, I always think about it in this level that, with being on your period, it's not a choice, right? It's a natural occurrence of things, right? Which you do not have control over, right? And it being a natural cause, it means that it's something which people are not doing deliberately, right? It's not like drinking alcohol, it's not like having sex, because sex you can postpone and say, baby, I'll see you next week.
Hey.
But with your periods, you might even have forgotten your dates, your calendar, and then now you do not know what's going on. So that one is part, I think it contributes to the broader human cause, because I think it speaks to just being human about things. I mean, if we are to talk about funding, I would definitely agree that there should be some funding and some resources deployed in that particular department. And when you mention something like the vision of having a vending machine, that vending machine would not just be a device. It will also speak to education, because a boy child who has never seen pads, or who has a stigma centered around menstrual cups, a pad, a tampon, would then now start seeing them. So the education is right in front of him, then he would know what it looks like. Then more learning is supposed to happen.
And as a male, it's easier for you to go pick them in store if you have been asked. Maybe pick up some pads for me, or as a young boy being told.
Where they also, pair these nice packs. They don't just buy the pack alone; they buy biltong, chocolate. Make a nice pack too.
Hey, now imagine buying the wrong ones and that person is moody.
That card. Well, with me, I think I'm in a better position, I would say, because I think I have some knowledge or an idea of what periods are, and besides that, I have a little sister, I have a lot of female cousins, I have a mom, I have a niece. So for me, I think I'm comfortable with that. I do not mind, you know. But it now speaks to a new kind of thinking also, like I mentioned, that it's about time we bring people who identify as men into the conversation. Let's speak about these things, you know. Let's not keep them sidelined forever, right? Because these things are happening.
True.
So I know in the programs we coordinate, some of the students would always ask me, but you're a man, how are you telling us about periods? You've never experienced periods, you know, which is relatively fair.
And it goes back to also them not...
Yes.
They've never spoken to it about with their fathers, their uncles, and all that. So so everyone needs to be educated.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
So we're running out of time. Our producer Neo just signaled me there. You know, he doesn't want us to have this conversation for long. We enjoy it. So
actually get to dive into a lot more. Before we close it off, Sister Sanda, can I kindly ask, how do the normal civilians get to actually help out with the initiatives that you guys are taking in regards of maybe raising awareness, maybe helping out in terms of supplies, if we can all come together and maybe decide to lend a helping hand? How do we go about that?
House of Champions?
That's a good one.
HOC.
Well, thank you so much for that question. I know divisions like the Hubs of Convergence also have, these running programs where you can approach them if you really are interested in donating. Also at the residence level, we have an office, Res Life and Student Development, where we get drop-offs of the pads themselves. I know we have a good relationship with Spa, Summer Breeze in our area, where they have really donated boxes of pads and also are giving, I think, students discount or points on their cards, rewards on their cards when they buy for a certain amount, something like that. But there's an arrangement here. There's always a way around these things. So please contact us. Student Housing, Hubs of Convergence. We can definitely...
Are you guys on social media?
We are on social media, on Instagram and Facebook as well, as Res Life and Student Development and Mandela Uni _HOC.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to have you guys back, because I know that people are going to be asking questions. Some of them we might not be able to answer. But having you guys back here will definitely assist us. So we'll touch on the question that the guys are going to ask. Ladies and gentlemen, we are out.